All right, everybody, so welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. This is the weekly fishing report. So if you're new here, what that is every week on Friday, I break down what the fish are doing. Well, I hate to say this, but some stuff has changed. Not necessarily with the fishing report completely, but I have tore muscle in my back. So I'm finally about fully recovered. You know, I just didn't get to go to the lake this week. But hold on, before you click off. Hold on. I think this would be a great time to kind of explain what I would do if I've been off the lake for a certain amount of time, whether that's health reasons or just financial reasons, any reason you may have that you haven't been through your lake or your river system in a while. Kind of like my mind process of what I'm going to do when I go back and try to focus on what the fish are doing. So either way, stay tuned. It's something you don't want to miss. All right, so here's the thing. I like to keep this stuff within the fishing report short and sweet because it's the day before the weekend when most people's going to get out on the lake. This may be a little bit more lengthy, but it's going to be worth watching. So either way, I've been off the lake for a little bit over a week, probably about a week and 2 days because of the torn muscle in my back. So I'm going back this weekend. And I'm kind of planning like, hey, in my head, what could these fish be doing? What could they be on? Luckily for us, it's pretty simple, okay? And like I always say, keep it very, very simple because we're into winter. We're completely out of the fall, okay? We're out of the fall. We're definitely in winter. I could just tell that from the last time I was on the lake. So most of these fish are going to be positioning themselves on main lake points. Main lake points is going to be your best bet this time of year to target fish, to catch multiple fish. And now don't get caught up on, this is really the time of year that I don't get caught up on trying to catch 100 fish, okay? Because it's cold. Most of the time these fish are not going to be, you know, they're going to be stacked up, but you're going to catch a few here and there. They're very lethargic. They only have to eat very few times throughout the day because their metabolisms have slowed down. That's one of the reasons I love summer, because that metabolism starts picking up and you can move those baits quicker because they're constantly feeding, they're constantly aggressive. This time of year it's kind of wishy-washy. You're going to find fish early in the morning that's wanting to eat, you're going to find fish in the middle of the day, you're going to find fish late in the evening. The key is to still cover a lot of water, but doing it strategically and make sure you're maximizing your bite. So there's a couple different baits that I'm going to use this weekend to make sure that I catch fish no matter what depth they're at, no matter what piece of cover or structure they're on, so on and so forth. Let's go over them. So in my mind, we got a cold front coming through. On the weather app, it shows, you know, a good cold front come through. It's already cold. I mean, we're down in the 30s most nights, you know, low 50s during the day, stuff like that. So it's already pretty cold. But tonight, that temperature is going to drop all the way down to 11 degrees. So with that being said, I'm kind of going to make some minor adjustments, kind of cover 3 bases with 3 baits that I could maximize, you know, my bites. Now, some of this may relate to strategic fishing, like I'm going to strategically fish points, and then other ones may relate to kind of a junk fishing style. So I'm going to use all 3 of these baits maybe throughout the entirety of the day and get on multiple different patterns, but not necessarily a pattern. I'll catch a fish here, catch a fish there, but I'm going to make sure I cover water efficiently. So the first bait that I want to talk about is the chatterbait, okay? So this is the jackhammer by Z-Man, and then I'm running on that 7'4" heavy action power rod. This is just a chatterbait rod. This is one of their mistake rods. I think the Enduro rods or something like that is this version, but either way, I love the power rods for chatterbaits and other stuff also. But then I'm going with a 3-to-1 gear ratio reel. Everything will be linked. You know, you can hit that shop button. If you hit that shop button, you order. It helps me out a whole lot. It's one of the easy ways to support the channel. But you know, either way, the chatterbait, when am I going to throw this chatterbait? So if I'm fishing these main lake points and it's super windy, super windy, but those fish are kind of still pulled up a little bit high, maybe in that 10 to 12 foot zone, you know, sometimes they want to feed up and come up and eat that chatterbait, but I'm going to be working it a little bit slower, okay? I'm going to be using it in those depth zones. So when I find shad that are, you know, maybe 6 foot deep and the bass are 12 foot deep, then I'm going to practice getting that chatterbait down to that 6 foot range and keeping it in there with that slow reel turn. I'm not doing any crazy pops or anything like that. I may pull it just a little bit and pause it, let it kind of flutter down, pick it back up. You know, little stuff like that can trigger a lot of bites during the winter, but you want to keep everything subtle. They're cold, everything's moving cold. Also, if I find fish pushing up against structures, so maybe lay downs or you know, brush piles or something like that at a certain area of the lake, I can use that chatterbait to get in and out of that types of cover and stuff and catch multiple fish. A lot of times it's just an easy way. It creates a lot of resistance. You can really keep it in that strike zone for a long period of time just by simply turning the reel handle. But I'm going to be running fluorocarbon, okay? I'm not really going to be running the braided line because most of the lakes, we hadn't really got any rain, so most of the lakes around here are very, very clear. If your water's stained, I would suggest going to braid. You can still slow down. You know, you're just going to have that strength, no stretch, stuff like that. The bait's going to have a little bit different action. It's more of a straight, true action. But, you know, that's typically when I'm going to choose that chatterbait. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is one that you'll hear me talk about throughout winter, and I just have to, because I'm not that guy that's just going to keep throwing baits at you that, you know, something new every week, okay? I'm a pretty simple strategic fisherman, and, you know, I just keep everything simple. The baits that I give y'all, those are the baits that I use. But, you know, it's that 1/4 ounce rage swimmer. Sometimes I will go up to a 3/8 ounce. This is the 1/4 ounce squadron head, and I'm going to team it up with that 3.75 inch rage swimmer. Even if I'm on a threadfin shad fishery, I'm still going to go with this bigger rage swimmer. Why? The ribs are pointed forward, more resistance. You can slow that bait down even more and still get a lot of that action, okay? I don't want that crazy wild action, okay? I'm slowly turning that reel handle, and you'll feel them load up on it. But, you know, I'm running on that 7'3" medium heavy Taco series rod by Thunderhawk Lures, one of my favorite rods in the world. But, you know, same high gear ratio reel, it's different reel, but same gear ratio. But either way, you know, super long cast. I'm fishing points. I'm just simply fishing points, period. I'm going to typically go with that rage swimmer. I'm going to toss that thing out there as far as I can, send it to the next area code, and then I'm going to slow reel that thing. And typically what I like to do, I like to figure out a cadence to where my bait is not necessarily always staying in a certain depth zone. When I first get out there and I'm really searching for those fish, I like to kind of speed up and slow down. So I'm talking about going from a crawl, like this is typically how fast I'm going to run that bait, to when I first get out there, I'm kind of, you know, moving it a little bit quicker. I'm moving my rod tip up, left, down, adjusting those depth zones slightly throughout the water column until I figure something out. And how I figure something out with that is when I'm, you know, changing my depth zones or I'm changing the speed of the reel and stuff, I'm looking for that strike. I'm not necessarily looking to catch the fish, but I'm looking for that strike. 1 bite tells you something, 2 bite that you're onto something, 3 you got it figured out, okay? So pay attention to what the fish are telling you. Now, the very last one is something that I'm going to run on those channel bends or real rocky points and stuff. That's going to be, you know, the Berkley Money Badger. I love the Berkley Money Badger this time of year, running on that 7-foot cranking rod, Taco series by Thunderhawk again. Now, the Money Badger, the Rock Crawler, your Rapala DT series crankbaits, all those are good baits, okay? Just make sure it's more of a flat-sided bait this time of year, okay? If you're gonna be running hard baits, simply because they like that tight wiggle, okay? They don't like that wild, wide wobble or that crazy hunting action. Everything's cold, slow down. Minnows, when they're swimming through the water when it's cold, they're swimming slow, okay? They're not darty or anything like that, okay? So we're looking to mimic that the best of our ability. Same if you're running crawfish patterns, no different. But the only thing is, I notice this a lot, most of the time if I'm running a crawfish pattern, I want that bait hitting something. But if I'm gonna be running a crankbait during the winter anyways, I'm not really looking to run a square bill that's going to catch suspended bass. I'm typically on those channel bends that come around that maybe get a lot of wind or something on the side of it, or maybe a lot of current if you're fishing a river system. And then, you know, I'm kind of just crawling that bait. Now, when I say a lot of current, I don't mean like just current in the moment, just blowing up against that channel bend. But what I am saying is, if it's typically an area that gets a lot of current throughout the summer and stuff like that, you know, a lot during the winter, they're not really pulling current a whole lot in the rivers I fish anyways. They're not pulling a whole lot because the drawdowns already happened and they're looking to build that back up. So, you know, those channel bends, I'm crawling that bait through those rocks or brush piles or whatever the case may be those fish may be holding to. But guys, either way, I hope you like the fishing report. I'm sorry that I couldn't get out on the water. Like like I said, my back's feeling better, but I mean, I was down. I got getting older sucks. Okay, I don't know if anybody's told you that, but getting older sucks. You can't do the stuff that you used to do. I was afraid if I set the hook, I'd be in a nursing home or something. So either way, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. If the video helped you at all, make sure to like it. Helps me out a whole lot and lets me know that I'm doing my job. Also, comment down below. Helps us get in the algorithm. And I love talking fishing with you guys. If you have any questions or anything to add, always drop a comment down below. Merchandise, all that stuff, sponsored links, everything will be down in the description. Click on it, it'll carry you straight to the website. Hit that shop button, also it'll carry you there. And if you make a purchase, it helps me out a whole lot. So either way, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. Want to become a member, $2 a month. You get my content exclusive early, and you know, it's an easy way to support the channel if you can afford it. If you can't, still great. I appreciate it, guys. See you next time.